No question. Okay, let's go. Whew. Wow. Advanced Auto Parts is closing more than 700, yikes, locations. That doesn't sound good. How about the DMV hiding the info? We are live with the real news. Yep. And is Gina coming back? I don't know. I'll explain. I'll explain what I think that is all about. Un momento. Just a moment. All right, folks, here we go. 102. Don't forget, this weekend is the home show. And if you go to the home show, stop by booth 210 and say hello to my friends at Dreammaker. Yep. How about the Laken Reilly stuff is just brutal. I don't, like many of you, I don't fully understand. Now, we will be doing Road Patrol Live later. All right, we're live in 3 minutes. 3 minutes with the real news. 3 minutes. Yep. Look at that. This weekend, specials at Kay's. Whoa. Lobster ravioli, chicken parm, chicken cordon bleu, scallops wrapped with bacon, prime rib, surf and turf, baked haddock, baked sea scallops, lobster haddock casserole, fresh oysters. Meet me at Kay's. Wow, that sounds fantastic. The place is just dynamic. Yes, we're going to be live tonight. Road Patrol. We're on Road Patrol all weekend, as a matter of fact. Let me just double check something. There's Heather. Yep. I realize I will start to check the comments a little bit more. I hear people say, you should check the comments more during the real news. It's true. It's true. We're going to make an effort when we can. We're going to make an effort when we can. Yep. Who's sending me a message? Okay. No reason for that. Let me do this. Okay. We'll say some hellos. There's Denise Oliver. There's Ryan. Hi there, Phyllis. Let me just check of folks. Remember, you can okay, there we go. We're live in 2. All right, you can send STARSs during the real news to help us towards our November goal. All right, we're going to be live coming up. Yep, look at that. 71,000 on our way to 72,000 followers just on the Facebook page. All right, we're live in 1 minute. We're live in 1 minute. Let me just do a quick check. Yes, we are live on X as well. Yep. And also we do the real news. There I am. Live on YouTube. All right. So we're waiting for our cue. And then we're going to be live. Whether people like it or not. Okay, there we go. 64,000 on TikTok. The TikTok people say that will surpass Facebook before New Year's Eve. We're going to find out. All right, we're standing by. We are standing by. Boy, the Laken Reilly trial is brutal. We're going to touch on that. Excuse me. We're going to touch on how the registry of motor vehicles, folks. And there we go at 106 on this Friday. Look at this. Sunshine again, blue sky. Those listening on the radio just heard the forecast, and it looks like it's going to be another good weekend. Folks, this is the real news. We're on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Yes, you can listen online at the website, depetro.com. I often have demonstrated this in the past. Wait a minute, is he going to do it again? I'm going to do it again. I will demonstrate. Remember, you can always listen to the radio show. We start at 11. We go until 2. You just log on to the website, dpetro.com. Look at the top. There it is. Listen live. We also have all of our disconnects, links, Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok is on there. You want to support the program, become an advertiser. I just remembered someone I need to get back to. And then you can always listen. You just look how easy that is to then play the listen live. And then you get it in nice, clear stereo. So, folks, there it is. Now, we are also right now live on Facebook, and we're live on X and YouTube. This portion of the real news, because that's what it is. The real news is brought to you by Dreammaker. Now, this weekend, home show, Rhode Island Convention Center. It's true. November 16th and 17th. Today is November 15th. Booth 210. Booth 210 is Dreammaker. Stop in and see them, Dennis and Christina. If you're going to the home show this weekend at the Rhode Island Convention Center, stop by booth 210 and meet my friends Dennis and Christina at Dreammaker. Consider them your next. Maybe you're going to improve your kitchen. Maybe you want to improve your bathroom. Dreammaker. Now, they do have a beautiful, this Catherine, design center on Greenwich Avenue in Warwick, right near Crown Plaza, right next to Kochai. It's Dreammaker. But also, you can see them this weekend at the Rhode Island Convention Center. They take you from concept to completion. Remember, with Dreammaker, respect, integrity, customer focus. It's Dreammaker. Experience upgraded living with your bath or kitchen remodel today, enhancing lives, improving homes. It's Dreammaker. Well, folks, as always, as I mentioned, visit the website, dpetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. I see people posting that they're looking for a spot to have a gathering, whether it's Thanksgiving time or holiday party, what have you, or collation lunch. The Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick, free parking. Plus, they have the market at Cohasset. It's the Cohasset Inn. It's Friday, which means, what does that mean? That means we will be talking with my gun guy, George at Rhode Island Gun, at least we plan to, and also Marie at It's My Health. At It's My Health. Now, I want to touch on story. If you listen to the radio portion, and I know some people have been buzzing about it a little bit, but I want to put to rest. I'll give you the inside, and that's one of the reasons I like having Dan McGowan on of the Boston Globe, because listen, he is very plugged in. He always tells me something I don't know, and I think once again Dan McGowan has his finger on things. He's a very good columnist, but he's also a very good reporter. And I like what he said earlier, which was, it's not so much, it was the, hearing about it yesterday, but that Gina Raimondo is considering coming back to Rhode Island and running for what would be her third term as governor. But he said, I didn't hear about it before yesterday. So after some phone calls and just to flesh it out, there's several factors. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just you want to know what is the deal. So right now, as Commerce Secretary, they sold their home on the east side and right near Brown Stadium, and they moved to the Washington, D.C. area. Now, so she's going to be out of the job as Commerce Secretary. So what are you to do? So her and the former first gentleman, they certainly are of means, and he is, from what I have heard, a sought after consultant. But if you want objective, what's next for former Governor Raimondo, I don't see any scenario where it makes sense for her to come back to Rhode Island and run for governor. And quite frankly, and I'll tell you why. Now, people will scoff at this, but I believe she will make a bid to run for president in 2028. People can dismiss that. A lot of people still dislike her. Listen, she's never lost an election. She's never lost an election. And she's the Commerce Secretary when she had endorsed Mike Bloomberg. So she's, whether people realize it or not, she's actually a good candidate on the stump. And folks, I'm all about wins and losses. She's never lost. Now, who would put out this rumor? You have to look at that. First of all, is it true? She didn't deny it. But the people that put it out, I believe she doesn't want to insult them. But it's actually very simple, the way this breaks out. But it's also interesting because it has Rhode Island politics involved with it. So former Governor, Commerce Secretary Raimondo wants to run for president in 2028. And again, this is, whether people like it or not, I believe she's going to do it, and has people that want to support her to do that. So, and for everyone that dismisses it, do you mean to tell me if she's on a debate stage against what, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz or Harris? We saw Harris implode. But the calendar doesn't line up if she wants to do that, and I believe she does want to do that. So, if not now, then when? It's going to be an open seat. Plus, you have a party in total disrepair. The Democrat Party is going to be looking for someone to reinvigorate it. A lot of people, and I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but people that study history, a lot of people that wonder, and I remember learning this at Bishop Hendricken High School and its history, but people wondered, how did someone like, just as an example, how did someone like Hitler come into play in Germany? Well, the people that wonder that don't realize that after World War I, Germany was decimated. And if anything, there's a lot of speculation that maybe they were punished too much for their actions in World War I. So as a result of that, it gave way to someone coming along and giving inspiring speeches, and we're going to be number one again, and we're coming back, and blah, 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 and blaming, obviously, a certain group of people. But that paved the way, right? When you have a proud people, which the Germans were and still are, and, we're going to bring it back. So the Democrat Party right now, it is a losing team. It's a total losing team. And if you're a good coach, that's actually a type of program you want to take over. You want a last place team because there's no one really to get in the way of what you want to turn around. So just to finish out Raimondo. So I believe just the calendar. Let's play this out. She does move back. And then Helena Foulkes says, oh, in that case, I'm not running. And then Governor McKee, who knows, right? I mean, would he really then try to run against her? Let's pretend that she runs for governor and she wins in November of 26. Gina Raimondo. So now it's January and she's sworn in. Well, if you want to run for president, okay, she takes the oath and then she's running up to New Hampshire to give a speech. And then she's going to Iowa. The race for the White House, as we've seen, it starts very early. You're not going to do the Harris. If anything, they learned the Harris situation. What are they all saying? You can't run a campaign in 107 days. So my point is, the math doesn't add up. Iowa starts in the spring of the year before, and then you have the Iowa straw poll in August. It'll be August of 27. I know this sounds like a long way off. It is a long way off. But if you look at the calendar, and then November, December, Iowa's really cooking in New Hampshire, in South Carolina. And then January of 28 is when all the primaries start. So my point is that just doesn't make sense. So what I believe happened is, number one, laborers who do have connections to her. And the reporter that first put this into play, they're good sources. They definitely have her ear. They speak to her. I believe it went from that, and it's them wishful thinking. She doesn't want to insult them because she will probably call on them again when she wants to run. So she doesn't insult them. She says, I'm keeping all my options open, but there's nothing to be gained. So therefore, it's not going to happen. I think it makes more sense, and Dan McGowan framed that for us very well. It also, the laborers, look at how they operate. Dan McKee says, all hands in the middle. Ready? 1, 2, 3, unionize, that type of thing. Well, they're like, well, we'll see. If Gina comes back, no plan, Dan, maybe we'll kick you to the curb and we'll go with her. So just to finish this, I don't believe that. I believe, and I'll just finish with this. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If Gina Raimondo actually came back to Rhode Island to run for governor. That tells me she's even more desperate than I think she is. But I just don't think. What do you gain from that? You don't gain anything from that. She needs to get her name out there. She needs to network if you want to run for president. And right now, if you're the governor of Pennsylvania and you're the governor of Michigan, or you're the governor of Kentucky, or the governor of, well, North Carolina, Trump won, governor of Newsom, you are one scandal away from, well, there goes the political career. So, and what is she going to do? Come back and fix the bridge? It's not happening. But the reason it's significant is it shows to me how unhappy labor is, because that's who put the rumor in play. That's how unhappy labor is with Governor McKee. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by AJ Home Improvement. If you're thinking of improving your home, call AJ Home Improvement today, 401-323-9252. Home, maybe you have an unfinished garage or basement, call AJ Home Improvement, 401-323-9252. Frame to finished basements, acoustical ceilings, new homes, additions, commercial rehabs, painting, remodeling. They do it all. Don't ignore the ceilings. AJ Home Improvement. Call them for a free quote for your home, residential or commercial, 401-323-9252. Now, something I've talked about this right now. It just started today. Laken Reilly, and Fox News is all over it. This case, and it's tough to follow, and it's tough to listen to. This young, intelligent, first in her class nursing student in Georgia, and you had an illegal who was arrested in New York for shoplifting, but then they let him go. And then he was out, basically, he had gloves on, surgical gloves. This is frightening to say, but he was hunting for a female to attack, and then saw her out running. I mentioned this case for several reasons. Number one, this case, it reinforces, when you watch this, you say, thank God President Trump won the election, number one. Number two, I think this case, it played bigger into the Republicans flipping Georgia red than people realize. Number three, you have governors like Governor Healy, Governor McKee, the governor of Colorado, the governor of Illinois. What are they saying? They're saying, we're going to ignore anything that Trump says about ICE or anything like, well, we're not going to, Governor McKee, well, we're going to ignore it. Well, folks, I want to remind, and granted, I'm not someone that I don't run to put a microphone in front of, in front of Governor McKee in order to, try to get a sound on him. But the fact of the matter is, the golden rule is whoever has the gold rules. You have a bridge that is not safe that they need a lot of money for. You also have a situation right now. Look at what's going on in Providence. So Mayor Smiley says, well, we're not going to cooperate. Yeah, he also, they don't have any money. The state doesn't have any money. So somehow the idea that they're just going to snub their nose when the Trump administration coming in are talking about cutting off sanctuary cities and states of federal funding. Do they sound like a group that can afford to say, we don't need your money? When they look at state aid, different cities and towns, especially school aid, there are certain towns that get virtually like no money from the state, very, very little money. Then you have Providence that gets over $300 million a year. There are some cities and towns that get less than 1 million. The reason I mention that is those are cities and towns that if they wanted to, they could say to the state of Rhode Island, forget it, we don't need your money. We don't get a lot of money. We can make it up somewhere else. Rhode Island clearly can't afford to do that. But I believe the Laken Reilly case, folks, this galvanizes people as to that. That is a perfect example of the danger of people that are not vetted coming into the country. And what I saw this morning, how many driver privileges cards have been given out by the DMV. And why? This is the Providence Journal. Excuse me. Why officials can't say. So the registry of motor vehicles that are giving out these driving privileges cards by the DMV, they won't give out information. The Providence Journal is trying to say, how many of these cards did you give out? And they're saying, oh, we can't tell you. I mean, it's so preposterous. What do you mean you don't know how many? Yeah, we don't know how many. I mean, listen, why wasn't the number of driving privileges cards available? Well, we don't tabulate that as a separate category. Well, you should tabulate it as a separate category because those are going away. So my point is, there's a lot of things in play right now, and it still comes back to the environment that we're in and whether or not you're safe or whether or not you should feel safe. But I'm telling you, our local officials, when push comes to shove, they're not going to stand up to the administration. Folks, someone that knows a little something about push coming to shove, and it's our friend. Good afternoon to our friend George at Rhode Island Guns and Ammo. Good afternoon, George, and happy Friday.
Good afternoon, John. Happy Friday to you too.
I just want to hear some of your thoughts of the week, some of the appointments. What's the reaction you're getting from the public? And George, you watch the number of people that are going to come into Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road in Warwick, right down from Route 37, right down from Greg's. They're going to be talking about this Laken Reilly case. But George, what are some of your thoughts of the week?
John, I'll tell you. I mean, it's been another crazy week as far as everything that's been going on. But to hightail it, I was listening to you earlier with just Gina Raimondo and her whole possible comeback. I don't know. I hope she just stays away. I used to love calling her Gina the Blundo Raimondo for a reason. So if she could stay far away from Rhode Island, that'd be great. But besides that, I mean, with all the appointees that Trump's been handing out, I think he's putting some great people in the right positions. And only time will tell if it'll work out. But he's a smart man. He did it before. I think he's got some game plans that he's just not tipping his hat to right now. And I think we'll be in good position once he takes office in January.
Well, George, I can tell you, Tom Holman, if he ever came to Rhode Island, I'd bring him into your shop. I've interviewed Tom Holman, who's going to be the border czar. I've interviewed him over a half dozen times. He is the real deal. This guy does not mince words. Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm sorry. He's the modern day George Patton. Like he is a non BS. I loved it the other day when he said, "Are you going to separate?" When a reporter asked him, "Are you going to separate kids from their parents?" And he's like, "No. When we throw the parents out, the kids can go along with them." Perfect answer. Perfect answer. And that's the stand that we have to take. And it's unfortunate because I'm sure there's going to be some really great, good people that, really came to this country to do the right thing. And I hope we have some type of understanding for those folks. But the bad elements that showed up, and we see it every single day, these gangs from Venezuela. I forgot the name of the state, but it looks like they've infiltrated like every single town and city in that state, which is crazy. Just overwhelming the local police departments down there.
They have. They are finding that they're in every city and town. Now, George, you are in the business. Folks, again, it's George, Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road in Warwick. Not only are you in a sense, the defense business, but you are in the peace of mind business. And as you have laid out, someone suddenly hears someone coming into their home, other than being paralyzed with fear, people have the right to protect themselves.
You absolutely do, John. And again, you insure every aspect of your life. You have car insurance, health insurance, home insurance. But what do you do to ensure your own safety in your own house? And a firearm is a once in a lifetime purchase. You make that purchase, that firearm will be with you as long as you keep it clean. It'll be with you for the rest of your life. And hopefully you'll never have to pick it up. But at the end of the day, like I always say, you're better off having it and never needing it than need it and not have it. Because at that point, you're a victim. you're just going to be a victim. You're going to be another statistic, and hopefully you still be above ground than underground. So
I also want to stress to people and folks again, stop in and see him, George at Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road in Warwick, right off Route 37, right down from Greg's, right near Cosmic Pizza, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, George, Governor McKee has said he will not cooperate with Tom Homan, with the new administration, in trying to crack down on many of the real dangerous illegals. So therefore, they're projecting that Rhode Island will be even more of a magnet for not only just illegals, but criminals coming into the state. What's your reaction to that?
of course, they're all going to flood to the safest areas, right? So again, if you're not gonna abide by the law, and you're not going to do what you said you were going to do when you took office, right? Um, what's the point of McKee even keeping his job? What is he doing there? It's crazy to even hear stuff like that, to say that there's violent criminals that are coming into the state, and our governor doesn't want to protect the people that voted for him. Now, listen, I live in a safe area, right? So I probably don't have to worry about it. But the people that live in those areas that are already, overwhelmed with violence and crime, it's just going to get worse for them. And these are the folks that voted this guy in the first place. And you got to look at yourself, and you got to look at, what he's doing to you. And not to mention, it's going to cost money. And I was listening to you earlier when you said, hey, they're handing out IDs, licenses, but they're not telling you how many. Yeah, they don't want you to know, because there's probably tens of thousands of them that are in the state. And if you really saw the picture, the whole picture, you'd probably be shocked. So they're keeping that away from you. They don't think you're educated enough, you're smart enough to understand what they're trying to do. They're playing every citizen of the state of Rhode Island for an idiot.
What's amazing is they can tell you how many women have licenses, their ages, how many licenses are in the town of Coventry, how many in Narragansett. They know everything, average age, town, city, everything. But they claim the one thing they don't know is how many people are giving those driving privileges. Now, George, if someone comes into Rhode Island Guns and Ammo, Post Road in Warwick, what are some of the nice treats that you could point them in the direction of?
We've got everything for everybody. Depending on what you want to spend, you could purchase firearm for a couple of $100, up into a couple of $1,000. And we cater to the first time gun enthusiast, right? Or even the guy that knows absolutely nothing about what he needs to do. And you're more than welcome to come in anytime and talk to us, and we'll walk you through the process. Honestly, I know it sounds scary at first, but once you see it and you kind of go through it, it's really not all that bad. It really isn't. Like, we'll guide you, hold your hand through the whole process.
For someone that is experienced and maybe they are of means, what are some of the things that maybe you could steer them towards?
Is like firearms. Again, it really comes down to what they want to spend. I mean, we carry CZ, Glock, SIG. If we don't have it, we can order it for them. So that's really not a big deal. Right now, especially for the folks that do a lot of shooting, we've got some huge ammo deals that we're currently running on 9mm and some 223 and some shotgun ammo for 12 gauge for like skeet and trap shooting. Super low prices. I'll be honest with you, I don't think you can find a lower price than what we're selling them for right now. We've got 9mm, 1,000 rounds for $239, and I think $429 for 1,000 rounds of 223. And again, try to find that any other place, any other gun shop or anybody that sells ammo in the state of Rhode Island. You're just not going to do it.
Before we say goodbye, folks, I want to just acknowledge, and George was the first one to call it out, that Governor Tim Walz, when you looked at that, he had no idea how to load that hunting rifle. That guy had no idea how to load that hunting rifle. George, you sniffed him out that he was a fraud right at the
beginning. Oh, yeah. Definitely a fraud. Absolutely, without a doubt, a fraud. He brings a new level of fraud. But yeah, definitely a fraud.
Folks, stop it and see him. George, Rhode Island Guns and Ammo. George, excellent job as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, John. We'll see you soon.
All right, folks, isn't he fantastic? I have people now that absolutely love that segment. Stop it and see him. George at Rhode Island Guns and Ammo. Well, folks, good afternoon on this Friday. It is the real news. And I want to just highlight, I mean, does that make sense to anybody that the Rhode Island Registry claims that, yeah, we don't know the information. Here's the Providence Journal. How many, asking the question, how many of these driving privileges cards have been given out? Now, here's a spoiler alert. The new administration wants the answer to that question. The new administration wants the answer to that question. I want to see where the DMV is going to say, yeah, we don't know how many. Folks, they have computers full of data. They know everything. They know how many, first-time drivers there are. They know how many people, an average age of someone getting their driver's permit, how many people have lost their license. They know how many drivers in the state are over the age of 90, how many over the age of 80, what's the average age of the driver, where do most of the drivers live. They have all that information, male, female, every nationality, everything. But the Registry of Motor Vehicles under Governor McKee, they claim that they don't know how many cars. I mean, is there anybody that believes this? It's all false. And why this is important is because right now, I could tell you, what do you think the Trump administration is going to say that not only is the state acting as a sanctuary state, and as Tom Homan has said, you are a sanctuary for hiding criminals. It's really astounding with the backdrop of this Laken Reilly case that's playing out in Georgia. It just started today. It's heartbreaking to listen to. And that guy, he was a predator. But for the DMV, Bud Craddock and Paul Grimaldi, and for them to say, yeah, we just we don't know how many. I mean, it's not true. They absolutely know how many. They have all that data. They just don't want to release how many. That's what it is. But this Laken Reilly case, I mean, you've heard about it. A young nursing student out for a run on a college campus. And, some of the things that are now coming out. Here's the last known image of her the last time she left home, headed out for a run. You had someone that was hunting for a victim. So, I mean, it's so terrible, this case. This young, talented woman and going out for a run on her college campus. And as a result of that, we're hearing more things. They played the 911 call this morning during this. The accused is sitting there and he's got the headphones on. Gee, why does he have the headphones on? Because he doesn't understand English. So the family is in there, and he's just such a goon. But what came out was he was actually wearing, think of this, he's out and he's wearing surgical gloves. Why was he wearing surgical gloves? He was looking for someone for sexual assault. And then it's just so horrific of how he ended her life. And she left DNA on him. I mean, it's just so terrible as the police then found her. And the reason he waived his right to the jury trial, I think it'll move a lot faster simply because one of the reasons is because it, the jurors sometimes can get caught up. Juries can delay cases. And so the thought is if they don't have the jury, the judge is not going to be so shocked. But he waived his right to the jury trial, killing of the Georgia nursing student. Jose Ibarra, February killing, Laken Hope Reilly, body found University of Georgia campus, on a college campus. 10-count indictment, hitting her in the head. asphyxiating her and intended to sexually assault her. Waive his right to a jury trial only heard by the judge. Of course, he had to be questioned with the aid of a translator. Prosecutors had chosen not to seek the death penalty. They instead intend to seek a life sentence without possibility of parole. Good thing it's not in Rhode Island, because remember, in Rhode Island, life in prison is 20 years, maybe 25. Let's see. The Venezuelan citizen illegally entered 2022. Why? Open border. Was arrested in New York, shoplifting, let go. Terrible. Found February 22nd, running trail. She had not returned from a morning run. Random attack. Oh, my goodness. But that's more and more of the details are coming out. Folks, my point is, both Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey and especially Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, they're daring something like this to happen. They're daring something like this to happen. Why would you want to take a chance like that? And even Mayor, as I've said, the mayor of Providence, Mayor Smiley, who leading up to this, I thought he was better than Elorza. I've given him credit for improving quality of life in the city. But when they, I think it's empty. It's false. When they're saying he and McKee, oh, we're not gonna cooperate. I want to just examine that. And that is this individual, the person responsible for the death of Laken Reilly. Take that guy, and he's arrested in New York for shoplifting. Let's put him in Providence. He's arrested for shoplifting in Providence. And ICE says, hold him. We want to come and pick him up. They let him go. This has been an ongoing problem with ICE Boston, where they learn that Rhode Island has an inmate, and then they want to come and pick him up. And Governor McKee instructs his officials to not hold him and release them before ICE Boston can get here. And how does that make sense? Do you understand? They're daring something like this to happen. Absolutely daring something like this to happen. And, now everybody feels bad, but nothing's going to bring her back. That guy, he put on gloves. He went out looking for a female to sexually assault and suddenly spotted her running. And they have video of her with the earbuds in, and she has her cell phone in her hand. I think what was so brutal was the 911 call where the operator is saying, hello. So she called 911. And then I don't want to be too, it is the afternoon and some people may have children in the car, whatever. I'm not going to be graphic about it. But you can hear him, what sounds like he is, beating her to death with a rock, which he did, or not, at least knocked her unconscious. It's just so egregious. And for Governor McKee to be so and Healey, they're tone deaf. What do you mean you're not going to cooperate? There was an illegal caught in Cranston who was a child molester, and he's in court, and he somehow makes bail. And ICE contacts Governor McKee's office. Hold that person. We're coming to get him. What does Governor McKee say? Let him go. I want that justified. Like, this is what, why would you let him go? He's not there on a speeding ticket. I fully admit right now, I don't understand the rationale. Why would you let him go? They're coming to pick him up. They're coming to incarcerate him and then deport him out of the country. Governor McKee, let him go. It's going to take them a while to get there. If you're listening or watching right now, does that in any way make sense to you? The Laken Reilly death, this wasn't someone out late at night. This was a college student going for a run midday, late morning, on a college campus in broad daylight. And then this predator goon was right there. It's just so egregious. He never should have got in. They captured in New York. He got arrested, shoplifting. Let him go. That's the part that's one of the reasons. And I'm convinced Governor Healy, Governor McKee. I think all our elected officials should be asked. It's not, by the way, it shouldn't just be McKee and Smiley. I think Mayor Hopkins should be asked. I think the mayor of Woonsocket should be asked. I think the mayor of Cumberland should be asked. I think the mayor of Warwick should be asked. I think whoever's running Newport right now. I think anyone that's an elected official. You know, in Massachusetts, you have Mayor Wu and you have Governor Healy. No, we're not going to cooperate. You don't have the right not. What other laws are you not going to follow? You don't have the right to not follow the law. You know, I also heard something interesting, or read something, I should say, this morning. Folks, good afternoon. 142. This is the real news. And it's brought to you by J. Perry Paving. Call them, get your driveway paved. Still plenty of time before the cold weather sets in. 401 732 1730. 401 732 1730. Letter J. J. Perry Paving. Licensed and insured, high quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, 20 years experience, specialized commercial paving, residential paving, seal coating patios, and general work. Call them for a free estimate. It's letter J. J. Perry Paving. Call them today, 401 732 1730. Well, folks, good afternoon. Yes, this is the real news. Now, Fred sent me an email. Fred is looking to have a birthday party for his grandson and asked me, what's the place that I recommend? Fred, you want to contact Kids Club on the Pike. Kids Club on the Pike. They're right on the Johnston-Cranston line, right off of 295. Kids Club on the Pike. Birthday parties, before and after school programs, preschool programs. Kids Club on the Pike, located right on Plainfield Pike. It's perfectly designed. You can have the party and then not worry about the cleanup. And the kids can run around and they're entertained. They even have a room for 2-year-olds, little infants, or a room with Xboxes for 13-year-olds. Kids Club on the Pike, 50s style diner. They have a movie theater, a little dance area, all kinds of games for kids to play. They're going to love it. Kids Club on the Pike. Have a party for the team, for the children, and let the kids be kids. Now, I mean that about I think all the local representatives should be asked that, and let them answer the question. What exactly, are you going to do? They're not going to cooperate. First of all, as I've said, I don't believe Governor McKee. He's in no business. The horrific details heard in court during the opening statement of Laken Reilly. I mean, it's just, it's so horrible to listen to. How about, I can't get over this story, though. Hey, by the way, good for the Journal, though. All right, how many driving privileges give out? Governor McKee. Oh, we don't know. There's a great scene in On the Waterfront. I took film classes in college, and it's, Marlon Brando and Johnny Friendly, and it's corruption on the New York waterfront in New York in the 50s. There's some Carl Malden's in that and so forth. But anyhow, there's a great scene where they have one of the union guys on the witness stand, and he says, "Yeah, we don't have the records. We were robbed last night." So, and the prosecutor, they're trying to say, we were robbed, and they broke in, and all they stole was your union records. Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, no one believes it, but that's what it reminds me of. I want to get, hold on. This is worth it, though, because this will show you, folks, both Rhode Island and Mass need to adapt to where things are going. And I want to just, Ted Nesi has, okay. Well, anyhow, I'll tell you exactly what it is. And that is that Florida and Texas in 2030, they're going to gain 8 electoral votes. California and New York are going to lose 8 electoral votes. Folks, things are moving. There was a mandate. No more of the elite lecturing to you. The people have spoken. And one of the things that people have said is they've said, we really want to hear what Bobby Kennedy has to say about how food is processed. We want to hear about Big Pharma. We want to hear about how people naturally can take care of themselves. And therefore, that's why he appointed him yesterday. And there's going to be more of it. And folks, someone who I'll just say that I think certainly appreciates and understands that before everyone has a doctor write a script or take something, that there's a lot of natural ingredients that you can do with your health. And I call her the Queen of Health. And she joins us now on this Friday. It's our friend Marie from It's My Health, 1099 Menden Road in Cumberland. Good afternoon, Marie.
Good afternoon, John. You're absolutely right. It's time that we do have the ability to take care of ourselves and not rely on some of these crazy people.
You have been in the forefront of this, and also you've been a proponent that a lot of things that Bobby Kennedy has said, Marie, they have proven true.
Absolutely. I mean, medicine has its place, right? You break your leg, you want it fixed. You get into a car accident, you want all the pain relievers you can get. There's definitely a place for it. But in the day to day, there's so many things we can do, not even just supplements. I mean, I sell supplements, but there's so many things we can do, getting exercise, drinking more water, eating better food, eating whole foods. So there's so many things we can do for ourselves that are pretty simple to do. It's just a change of habit.
Now, what are some of our products you have for today?
So today I thought I would just highlight some things about diabetes. So many people are struggling with A1C, right? Because that measures what's been going on for the last few months, or their glucose numbers are high. Well, there are some things that you can do. One of the great products we have right now is this one here called Control, sugar control. And it has an herb in it that really helps to lower the A1C. And I have so many people who've gotten back to me that their A1C numbers have been so much better since they started on this. Wow. So it is one thing you can do for your A1C. That's, it's a supplement, so you are still taking some kind of a pill, but there's still things you can do, naturally. Cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamons. Now, there are a lot of cinnamons, but Ceylon cinnamon is the therapeutic cinnamon, and you won't find this in the supermarket. You'll just find, the standard stuff. This one's the therapeutic one. We have it in capsules, but I do sell so much of it in powder form. People add it to their oatmeal, they add it to their coffee, they add it to their tea, add it to everything that you can, because it's so anti-inflammatory, which diabetes is an inflammatory problem. So it helps a lot. It helps to balance out the blood sugar. And another one is a tea called white mulberry. White mulberry tea is really good for managing blood sugar. So just drinking a tea like this, you can find that your glucose numbers be better. Now, of course, if you start down this road, you do need to think about whatever meds you might be on, and be careful with that. You can talk with your doctor. Some are open to this, but just to say that there are some very basic, simple things you can do.
I saw an article, Marie, this week. Over 800 million people around the world have diabetes. Wow. Mm-hmm. It is really, really, that's something that, go ahead.
And it's really sad that many of those are children.
Wow.
We're 50% of our 6-year-olds are obese. And that's a big problem, because it's going to lead right into all of these inflammatory diseases. So we need to stop that as soon as possible.
What is before I let you go, folks, again, it's Marie. Stop in and see the Queen of Health. She is a wealth of knowledge. 1099 Menden Road in Cumberland, that historic white church. Look for the flag hanging right there across from Davenport's. What are some of the other ailments and illnesses, Marie, that are somewhat fairly common, that if people stop in, I'm willing to bet you could point them in the right direction?
Well, cholesterol levels, right? That's so many things are inflammatory related. So getting inflammation down, and a lot of that comes from the foods that we eat, the inflammation that it causes in the body, because the body doesn't like it. Getting exercise is another thing that can help. But cholesterol, blood sugar, blood pressure, digestive problems, migraines. There are so many things that can all go back to just some pretty simple things that we can do.
Folks, stop in and see the Queen of Health. It's Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Marie, what's happening tomorrow? Super Saturday at It's My Health.
Tomorrow we have yoga and Pilates classes. On
Wow.
Sunday we do have a Reiki master class, and it's with Roland Comtois. So he's amazing. So if anybody is looking to become a Reiki master, they would need to contact Roland or contact me quickly to get into that class on Sunday. But tomorrow is yoga and Pilates.
Marie, one last thing before I let you go. You know, Bobby Kennedy, someone that I know who's a big fan of his, they talk about what a lot of Americans don't realize is there's certain preservatives in our food that are not in foods in other countries. You know, if for anyone that does travel, it's not people's imagination. Americans are far more obese than many other countries around the world.
Oh yeah, I mean, right now there's a big push to boycott Kellogg's because Kellogg's won't take the dyes and the chemicals out of their cereals, and so there's a lot going on there, just trying to get the attention of these big companies. The pesticides, the dyes, the colors. You start seeing yellow dye, red dye. I mean, a lot of these kids, right? You know, they have attention deficit problems. It's a lot of the food that they're eating, all these dyes and chemicals and pesticides that are in the processed foods that they're eating.
Yeah, I even heard that, I think I read that even Fruit Loops in another country, in Canada, is different than the Fruit Loops that the American kids are eating.
You buy Fruit Loops here and there's probably 15, 20 ingredients. You buy it in Canada, it's 3 or 4. So why? Why?
Well, stop in and see her. I love this, and I love that we get to see you. Folks, it's the Queen of Health, Marie, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. Marie, keep up the good work, and my best to the luckiest man in the world.
Thank you, John. Have a good one.
All right, folks, there she is, Marie at It's My Health, 1099 Mendon Road in Cumberland. I really like talking to her at 1:53 on the Real News. It is true. And I recognize, you know, with Bobby Kennedy, look what President Trump is doing, Tom Homan. And, you know, I don't know about some of the Matt Gaetz thing seems to be a problem. But some of the other ones, you know, that Governor Burgum, Secretary of Interior. But let me just circle back on something in just a moment, and I'm going to mention it. But I do want to remind you about Watson Materials. Remember, call them 401-885-0600. Watson Materials, 1500 South County Trail. Watson Materials. Call them for a free quote, 401-885-0600. Watson Materials, landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone, decorative stone. Watson Materials, the most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. Call them, request a quote, 401-885-0600. Look for them on Facebook. It's Watson Materials. Folks, I think, and I was mentioning this, that right now, I don't hear any elected official in the 401. You know, actually, as I think of it, we could then also go into the 508 and the 617. But I just don't hear any local official really harping on the issues that I think are important, and the issues that I hear from you and you believe are important. And so I want you to understand that as much as we cover crime more than anyone, and give people a sense of what's really going on. I think there's the Rhode Island that some people try to put forward, and some members of our media, and it's the Rhode Island about clam cakes and quahogs and hot wieners and blah, 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 and stuff that I just consider to be like the BS stuff. And then you have what's really going on. And so we're going to zero more on the Real News. Don't forget also JD's Lawn Care Tree Service. If you need someone to handle your fall pickup, call them 401-441-0154. I want to mention also, so yesterday I played, there's this video of this guy that Attorney General Peter Nerona, they're bringing charges against. And according to the complaint, and I don't know whether he's guilty or innocent, but according to the complaint, it's very serious charges of this Kyle Saboth. And according to Attorney General Peter Nerona, they basically swindled a home out of these people that they've had for 30 years. So I don't know that much about him. I've started to hear more about him from people. But one of the things I found once someone started sending me videos of this guy is I wondered why there wasn't more about him. And I went on the Channel 10 website and I thought, all right, let me see their story on it. And then I realized they don't have any stories on it. And then I realized the reason why Channel 10 isn't covering it is they have him as their real estate expert. So, Real Talk with Kyle Saboth on Tiny Homes on this Studio 10. What happened to the team you trust? How is this guy, and they even have his phone number. Now, someone also said he also has a radio segment. That part I don't know about. But here he is. I was wondering, why isn't Channel 10 covering this guy? And here it is. There's the Real Talk with Kyle Saboth.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Studio 10. Today I'm speaking with our real estate expert, Kyle Saboth. Welcome in, Kyle.
Saboth.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Yeah, it's great to be
Thank
speaking with
you.
again. And today we're talking about
Have a house
tiny
will
homes.
swindle.
We've spoken about this a couple of times, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole thing. What are they?
So, tiny homes is one segment of a major trend that's happening in the U.S. that's in the first inning of growth.
And if there's a tiny home, we'll swindle a lot of them. Like, what is this, Channel 10? Why is that your real estate expert? Folks, you take one look at the guy. I take one look at it. I'm like, clown. There's no way that guy, I'm worth $1 million. No, you're not. Maybe you stole $1 million, but I'm worth $1 million. I'm a millionaire. Channel 10, here's our real estate. What do you mean that's your real estate expert? The team you trust. They had a story up about him. Attorney General goes after this guy, and then they took it down. This is why. This is one of the reasons why. I'm a millionaire. That's one of the reasons why people are losing. And this is the team you trust. NBC 10. So disrespectful to President Trump. All right, folks, listen. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you're listening on the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Those watching, yes, we will be doing Road Patrol Live later, and then we're ready for this weekend. In the meantime, everyone on the radio, we're back at 11. Stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news.